Let me start with setting the context for what Acadi is doing. In Nigeria, we have a prevalence rate of 32% of our children stunted and suffering from severe acute malnutrition. We have the largest prevalence in the world. Nigeria has 25% of the global malaria infection. 1/4 of malaria in the world is from Nigeria alone. Nigeria has the second largest HIV epidemic in the world, as at 2018, 1.9 million people. We have 2.1 million people living in internally displaced camps. 71% of our population live in poverty, according to the World Bank estimates. And we have a sizable population of drug users in Nigeria. 1 out of 5 drug users inject drugs. And because they inject drugs, it puts them at the risk of HIV and other infections. And there is a very high correlation between drug use and sex work, prostitution, shoplifting, theft, and crime, and inability to keep jobs. All of these are highly prevalent in Nigeria. And we see that on an increasing level, Nigerians are getting more and more into drug use. And I think it should concern us as it has concerned our father, the primate. The Bible tells us that the light shines in darkness, and darkness cannot overcome it. The good news is not that we have problems. The good news is we have problems and we have the solution. And that solution is Christ. Now, we're talking about Acadi. Acadi is a faith-based organization that was set up by the Church of Nigeria. What is the necessity for having an NGO at this point? The fact is that increasingly, non-governmental organizations are the ones setting policies for Nigeria. Increasingly, non-governmental organizations determine how we live. Increasingly, non-governmental organizations are involved at high and community levels in provision of services. And if you are not there, then you are not there. If the Anglican Church is not there when the policies are being made, then we only criticize after. But it's better that we be on the seat to lend our values and faith principles to those processes. So on October 26, 2020, our father, the primate of all Nigeria, put together a task force with the responsibility of developing and registering a faith-based organization. That faith-based organization has been registered, and the name is Anglican Compassion and Development Initiative, Acadi. It was registered on 22nd July 2021, and the board of trustee members are Papa Primate is the chair, Most Reverend Henry Chukudum Undukuba. Then we have Professor Olayiwola Fatusi, Madam Abigail Father, Dr. Peter Madu, and Barrister Yisa. What is special about Acadi? Acadi seeks to do 7 things: promote evangelism, discipleship, and godly living, advocate for godly policies in the public space, engage at the decision-making levels, and influence our governance systems. Then mobilize and subgrant resources to diocesan FBOs, that's faith-based organizations that are owned by the dioceses, and ensure financial and programmatic accountability. Then to promote effective networking and coordination within the Church of Nigeria owned NGOs and partners. The areas Acadi is intervening as serving the family, education, economic empowerment. We talked about poverty. We need to move our people out of poverty. Agriculture and nutrition. We talked earlier about we having the worst nutrition indexes in the world. We all know about disasters, Boko Haram and terrorism and internally displaced persons. The Anglican Church is intervening in that. Health. We talked about malaria, talked about HIV. It's part of what Acadi is looking into and responding. And then youth, our sons and daughters. So those are the issues that the Acadi will be doing, and networking, bringing together NGOs across the Church of Nigeria to work to reach and to empower people. It is time for us to take church outside of the church building into the communities. And Acadi is one of the ways to do that. But Papa said to us that as we are beginning this, he wants us to begin with a war against drug abuse and addiction. And that is called NAWADA, Nigerian Anglicans War Against Drug Abuse and Addiction. I gave some information about drug use earlier, and it is significant. We saw a video overnight from some of our council members in the East. What some communities do now is they catch young people who are into drugs, put them in the scare, and beat them up properly. But that does not solve the problem. The only thing that it does is they now go under and become even worse than before. So the Nigerian Anglicans War Against Drug Abuse and Addiction, NAWADA, is the first project that Acadi is doing. As I said, envisioned by the Primate of all Nigeria, and he gave the governing council, which incidentally includes some of our fathers here. There are 3 of our bishops who are members of the governing council, and Bishop will be from, I think, Onewi, then Bishop Titus Olayinka from Ogbomoso. They are all part of the governing council. So he gave us our work to develop this strategy framework, and it has been done and is running. I wish to say that NAWADA is a child of the Anglican Church in Nigeria. It is not a donor-funded project. The funding is not coming from the United States or Europe or anywhere else. It is developed by Nigerian Anglicans for Nigerians and by Nigerians. So it's something that we need to be all get behind and support and make to work, because it's by us and for our sons and daughters. The war will be prosecuted in a holistic manner. We have developed what we call the 3x5 strategy. Since it's a war, we have identified the war fronts where the war will be fought. The war fronts are: 1, the family. Every drug user is from a family. Every drug distributor has a father, has a mother, has a son, has a daughter. They are of us. So we start from there. The educational front, our schools, our colleges, are actual grounds for recruiting young people into drug use and drug abuse. So we are fighting on that front too. Then the economic front. A lot of people go into drug distribution because it pays them money to put food on the table. The answer to that is to help lift up people and empower them economically. Then the parish. Many of the people who distribute drugs and who use them are also Anglicans. In the work I do, I lead a network of NGOs in Nigeria. We work with partners. We see a lot of our people who are involved in this. So the local church is one of the war fronts. So wise people are not being recruited in the church, but they are worshiping in the church. We take that into cognizance. And then the communities. Everybody who is using drugs, who is distributing drugs, lives somewhere in Nigeria. The community is important. Now the second area are the weapons. If we are fighting a war, we need to have weapons to fight with. So we are talking here about intercessory prayers. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God. That's what the Bible teaches us. So we are mobilizing prayers, and we will mobilize prayers, and we are asking that all our dioceses, all our parishes, mobilize prayers to deliver our people from this demon of drug addiction. Then evangelism and discipleship, the preaching and declaration and the teaching of the word of God delivers people. We're talking of economics. Economic empowerment is one of the weapons that will be deployed. Then awareness creation. Many times people are lured into things, particularly young people who want to belong. They do not know what they are being taken into. So we will create awareness through our churches, through our campuses and our schools. Then networking and capacity building. We are going to invest a lot of time and resources in training, in giving orientation, and empowering people to know about this. And then who are we fighting with? Who is fighting by our side? Who are the stakeholders? Again, first on the list is our church, the parishes, the dioceses. They are the first stakeholders. This is an Anglican initiative, and it will be powered by the Anglican people. And let me say this to our colleagues. I see a lot of people here today who are in the civil society sector. Now we have no excuse. You know how we used to complain when we meet on the corridors, and we complain how the Catholic Church has taken the space. Everywhere you go in the civil society faith-based organization, who you see there are Catholics, and they influence a lot of things their own way. But now our church, the Anglican Church, is stepping up in a bigger way. We have no excuse not to get involved. So I'm challenging everyone here. If you're in the civil society sector, this is our thing. This is your time to contribute. Thank you. Now, the families are stakeholder groups. The family heads, father, mother, son, daughter, are also the people we are working with to solve their own problems. The youth groups, we will use positively that peer influence that the world has used negatively. The Boys Brigade, Girls Brigade, Sisters Guild, Anglican Youth Fellowship, Joshua Generation, all of this will be networked and trained and empowered. Community leaders, and then relevant government agencies, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the universities, international NGOs who share our values and our faith will be networked. So far, we have asked our lords, bishops, our fathers to please nominate persons to us who will be the focal persons for the dioceses. So far, we have 55, and we have begun work with those 55. We plead with other dioceses to please respond to this so that you give us one person who is trustworthy, who is capable, who is competent, and who will represent the diocese, because this is a collective work. We will please be waiting to hear from you. We have created an online group, and we're already meeting bishops, clergy, and laity. The curriculum is being developed and almost finalized. The training faculty includes our bishops, our clergy, and we're preparing. A database has been compiled of all the Anglican Church FBOs, and then the national headquarters at the national office has been set up and funded by the office or the primate. The last, I've said this, please, each of the dioceses who have not given us their focal persons, please, we have people here who will be able to collect those. Before we leave, please give us. We are starting the initial training and orientation by the 3rd week of November, and it will be powerful. And again, this is not a sprint, it's not 100 yards. It's a long distance trip. So we are doing this for 3 years in the first instance. So we'll build capacity and then we'll start to implement. So please, we need you, our fathers. We need us, the clergy. We need fathers. We need mothers. We need our young people to please get involved in this. It is our initiative. It is our fight. It is the fight for the future. Remember, Nigeria has lots of problems, but because Nigeria also has you and I, we are the solution to the problems that we have. Like somebody said, we are the ones we have been waiting for. When darkness is present, then light shines in darkness and darkness cannot overcome it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.